So I was saying that in psychology of religion, uh, that is where we get into when we are dealing. It tells us that when we get to religion, there is no way we can be successful religious practitioners or any religious activities, the conventional mainly, without psychology. Because psychology is about psyching somebody. Even when we say praise to God, be to God, or the mantras from Islam or wherever, or whichever religion, or thy, all these things, even the rituals have something psychology. So you cannot do without religion when you are doing, you cannot do without psychology when you are doing religion. If you do, you not have something to help you hold the crowd. It's the psychology behind the religion that holds the people in a sense together. Of course, there are many ways of holding people together. Even the activities you carry out together also contribute in holding to the people together. But psychology is very, very critical in the discourses we are talking about. It is not something you can escape or run away from. It's not something you can do without. It is so important that no one would expect to release a clergyman or a person to go and practice religion if the person has no psychology inculcated in his mind because of the importance of uh, psychology if we get it from psyching or more or less preparation of the people. Now, very quickly, because this is what you have been saying, let's go on because we considered all these things. You can see we even mentioned the psychology in Shakahola forest. We mentioned all these things, and we said that even those who misuse religion, like the case of Shakahola, it is a question of psyching people in the wrong way. And we even gave psychological functions of religion as including thinking, cognitive function, yeah, which is to do with the mental processes. We also mentioned the emotional function of religion as a psychological function. And so emotion is also psychological. You must be psyched to react. Even when people go to a political rally and they psych you to hate this group, yeah, you can see all that. Then we said the definition by Kaolana and this gentleman, a British scholar, who says, not Emile Durkheim, who says religion is the ultimate. Yes. Paul Tillich, I mean, that's the one I'm referring to. Yeah. It's very critical in understanding psychology of religion because when they say it's the ultimate, it has its own psychology in a way, in a sense, they go hand in hand. If you are a very critical psychologist, you see this, there must be psychology in people's religious, cultural affairs because if you can keep people together, you don't have a police station or police services and people are holding up together, there must be something to put those people together. And psychology is one critical way of doing that. So to many people, religion is the ultimate. Whatever you do, religion comes first. Okay? It's the ultimate concern. Religion doesn't come number two in human life because of psychology behind it, the psychology that goes with it. Those are some of the issues. Now we move on because we had considered these things much earlier, but I want to remind you just a bit in passing about mistakes to watch in religious studies in general. Some of them are psychological, something like reductionism, to say that everything in religion is reduced to one particular phenomenon which perhaps appears objective, that is reductionism. And you are not fair to religion when you get into reductionism. Yeah, to religion, as we noted, those who have been around, like culture, actually it permeates all the 6 pillars that we considered for culture. Well, pillars of culture, I keep saying the major ones, not all of them. I can't do all of them. The major ones include religion, economics, aesthetics, what else? Kinship, or to do with the family. What else? Aesthetics. When you make that mistake of trying to be reductionist, you reduce religion to one pillar. A religion permeates all pillars of culture. Sometimes, especially in Africa, it is very hard to tell the demarcating line between religion and culture. And that is where even theologians make mistakes. That's where counseling psychologists make a mistake. They forget the totality of the people, particularly in Africa, where there is communality or holistic nature of living. You want to isolate things and work with one pillar. You ask yourself, why am I failing? Even these are the people you call people in other professional fields. When they ignore the communalistic nature of Africa, whether you are heading an institution of whichever nature, you are likely to fail because you lose the actual balance. We move culturally, and culturally has to do with all these things: politics, religion, economics, aesthetics, kinship. They go hand in hand, they go together. The other one we said is something to observe is don't limit religion. Reductionism goes hand in hand. Don't be neglective. That is, there's a great tendency of neglecting some truths that do not seem to be rational to us. There are things in religion that must not be very rational. Think of these rituals, the repetitions of words there in rituals. Some of them look meaningless, but you are psyched psychologically to buy them, all that. There is also the danger of subjectivism. Many times and in many occasions, we fail to describe or reflect objectively on others' doctrines. That is a very serious danger again. If you are Christian, you want to say everything Muislamu or Islam is, you trash it. You be too subjective. You have to be my one way. And that's how the Roman Catholic Church was. Before Vatican II, the so-called Roman Synod of Vatican II, famously called Vatican II, there were those people who made that error. And which error did they make? The Catholics were saying, Nura Ecclesiam, Nura Salus, that outside the Catholic Church, there is no salvation before 1965. The so-called Protestants, and they are half-half today. One to say 1 billion is Roman Catholic, the other one is Protestants. And Protestants are even moving faster when you take Pentecostalism, who are growing faster than any other group of Christian denominations. But the Roman Catholics was telling half of the people who call themselves Christians that they were saying that outside the Catholic Church, there is no salvation, which was a mistake. How can you tell the other half you are nothing, you are wayward people, until you come back to the Catholic, we don't recognize you? That is subjectivism, which we find among our Muslim brothers, our Buddhist brothers, Jainism brothers and sisters, Baha'i faith, Rastafari, Taoism. We find it among Hinduism. We find it among Jainism, Confucianism, Judaism. They are too subjective. Outside what they believe, you are nobody, you are nothing. That is a mistake. We want to get rid of it in you or in us. The other one is fanaticism. It has psychologically, as psychologists of religion, we must say fanaticism is out. After all, who are psychologists? People reading the mind. You can't be even what we call in simple English, you can't call yourself a diehard. If you are diehard in anything, you are not a psychologist, a good one. You are not a good student of psychology, because fanaticism is a tendency to ignore reasoning. Yes, When you are fanatical, you can't reason. When you are wayward, and not wayward, I mean when you are die hard in something, you may not reason. Chama yangu ni hii, my party is this, my church is this. Fine, but listen to others. We even considered these things. I don't know why we've repeated spirituality and psychology. Within the field of psychology, the psychologists point out spirituality as a personal search to understand the answers to the last questions about life, its meaning and the relationship with the sacred or the transcendent, which may or may not lead to the development of religious rituals and the formation of a community. So where there is spirituality, there is psychology. That's what you are going to find. Because within the field of psychology, it is psychologists who point out spirituality as a personal search. So it's psychological. When you are searching yourself, that's psychology. Now, spirituality is often linked to the disciplines such as religion, philosophy, neurology. Yes, and is currently also object of attention of psychology, more directly in transpersonal and humanistic psychology. Among those references, you find people like Allport, people like Maslow, people like Rogers, who emphasize on this point so much that you cannot rule out spirituality in psychological matters. And they say that spirituality is part of an integrated and multi-dimensional conception of the human being. Yes, it is multi-dimensional conception of the human being. That is as a biopsychosocial spiritual reality. So you may not do away with it, spirituality as you want to say. Even those so-called atheists, they have a form of spirituality which they may not necessarily acknowledge it the way we may want to do. You may not really, I'm saying, they may not, those atheists, they may not, people like Paul Sartre, Nietzsche, philosopher Nietzsche, all those people, they even Karl Marx, there is certain form of spirituality you find in him when he's writing. He will not admit it, but in reality, is a glue. You cannot lose a glue to move you. Spirituality makes us move because it needs us in a way in order, or links us to the complexity of issues around us, so that we are able to move. You can see when a colleague loses, like one who has lost a parent, a father, what do we come back to? The spirituality telling him things that will make him cope with the situation. So there's a sense that this spirituality is a glue, it's a psychological glue, as you note, and you cannot just do away with it. The relationship between psychology and spirituality is justified by the fact that the experience of existential issues occurs through mental phenomena such as meditation, states of consciousness, introspection, mystical experience, self-transcendence, self-realization, and so on, which are subject to study in psychology. However, the essence of this relationship rests on two basic questions. One, why does the human being need to have answers to existential questions to configure his spirituality? Of course, you understand, existential philosophy by Soren Kierkegaard and other people who came up with it. It's a philosophy initially, but you see philosophy spreads across all disciplines. It's all about how we exist. Existential questions are questions to do with how we exist. And these questions configure our spirituality. Okay? So why does his human being need to have answers to existential questions? Another one, what can psychology contribute to the spirituality of the person? What, or should be how, can psychology contribute to the spirituality of the person? Those are some of the questions. Going to psychology and its contribution to people's spirituality, Of course, that will make us understand the matter better. As we move on, we understand it better as we go along. Now, psychologists C. Peterson and Seligman consider spirituality as one of the human virtues that lead to the well-being of the person. It is a tool that provides the necessary strength to face the negative events that life presents, and they define it as the ability to have coherent beliefs about the higher purpose, the meaning of the universe, and our place in it, and refers to beliefs that are based on the conviction that there is a transcendental dimension of life. Yeah. So I've said that these two guys, there's a repetition there, consider spirituality as one of the human virtues that lead to the well-being of the person. So it's a virtue. Note that it's a virtue that leads to the well-being of the person. It's a tool that provides the necessary strength to face the negatives. So when you are well-tuned spiritually, you can face the negatives at a higher level. That's what psychology of religion will tell you. A psychologist of religion will tell you. There's something psychological, good, something good in spirituality. Particularly when you are facing danger, when you are facing fears, when you are facing troubled marriage. Spirituality has a place for you, not as not as a defense mechanism, but as a process of enabling you to cope. Okay? So it will help you to have coherent beliefs about the higher purpose, the higher goals you may want to pursue. So you see, somebody did a study on women who live many years. I don't know why not men. They said women who go to church more live longer than those who don't. Yes, those who don't who go to church because of the spiritual dimension of the church. Because it has to do with the psychology of coping. Spirituality has a place. Psychology can also aid in spiritual intelligence, whose distinguishing characteristics are as follows. 1, it possesses a high level of self-awareness. 2, ability to be flexible in your own ideas and opinion, ability to face and transcend pain and suffering and learn from it. The other one is ability to see a problem from a distance, placing it in a broader context. Now, the other one is the tendency to see the relationships and connections between things. You see, that is being holistic now. When you are able to see, to connect things, economics, the way we have talked about pillars of culture, can connect spirituality with your spiritual intelligence with all those other things that make life, economics, politics, aesthetics, kinship, religion, all those get interconnected. So these are the distinguishing characteristics to do with spiritual intelligence. When you are not able to connect, you are not spiritually intelligent. And so psychology aims it. Think of somebody who is not even able to reconcile with the people you differ with. He has no capacity because his spiritual intelligence is lacking. Or rather, it means that such a person needs psychology to aid that person in his or her spiritual intelligence, so that you are able to interconnect with those other things that are not necessarily linked to you very directly. And so you'll be able to interconnect and solve human problems. On the other hand, the way of manifesting this spirituality, that is symbols, you know how spirituality manifests itself. Symbols, rites, customs, all that. The way to manifest it. On the other hand, it will also depend on each person, individual, because everyone also has psychologically a way in which you handle things before you. Now, spirituality is not only rooted in religion, but it can also be approached from other areas and other dimensions by anyone who needs to transcend and seek answers. The practice of solitude, the practice of silence, the practice of yoga. That's a Hindu religious terminology. That is ascetic discipline, the practice of yoga. And most religion practice yoga. It's a Hindu religious concept. But we should be honest enough and say that we also make use of it. We also make use of yoga. We also have a way in which you observe silence. Sometimes you find people who went in Shakahora, they were trying to practice yoga, but they went beyond when they fastened to death. Of course, I understand there's some malice in that, but outside that, it can be done. So, also the practice of aesthetic contemplation. Aesthetic, it's to do with beauty, what you consider to be beautiful when you contemplate. Beauty is not necessarily human looks. Even the serenity, the serene compound, the beautiful, the good-looking compound is also something to do with beauty. It's also something to do with meditations. Also to do with mindfulness. Also to do with living according to nature. All that. In other words, when you are well educated in matters to do with the psychology of religion, your spirituality as a person will avoid fanaticism, reductionism, subjectivism, and limiting religious horizons. That is it. Now, something else we considered, I felt we should somehow come back here, is the importance of psychology of religion. Of course, we need to look at it. First, spiritual beliefs can be beneficial for a person's health, increasing their optimism and resilience. You can underline optimism, resilience. Yeah, that's psychology of religion helping you to be more resilient. You know what we mean by resilience? When you think of rubber, when you step on it, it goes down. That is called, but it comes back later, even if it's slowly, but it comes back. That shows the resilient character, the resilient nature of a rubber. Something that is spongy can go down, but it will still come back slowly. Yes. And we are saying Kenyans are resilient people. Economy went down in 1990. There was economic depression, mass sacking, retrenchment from World Bank and all that. World Bank telling the then president, sack people, retrench people, lay off people, workers. Your wage bill is too big. Yes, and many people are sacked and some died. And people thought the country will be dead. But the country is resilient because it was able to come back during Mwai Kibaki time, even opening university in every village, in every corner, opening businesses every corner, sending CDF money every constituency. There was a devolution that began before devolution. Then went on thinking it would die. The budget went higher and people were wondering where will you get the money. That is all resilience of a nation. Individuals have to be resilient or to have a resilience character. Now, it is psychology of religion that can help a nation to be resilient. It's individuals to be resilient. People to come back even when they are cornered and destroyed and pushed to death. Yes, the writer of Psalm, the Psalmist 23 says, even if I walk through the valleys and shadows of death, through you, God, I'm resilient enough to come back because you are there. I can still be rejuvenated and pick up and the mat and walk. Yes, I can move because of that characteristic. Resilience is a characteristic. So, psychology of religion increases our optimism because we look at how best we can survive, how we can cope with this without knowing that religion is also psychological, the way you have seen of spirituality, which is a critical matter. I don't know whether you call it a pillar in religion. Spirituality. Should call it a pillar also. I talk of 6 pillars. But spirituality, we should also term it as a pillar of, pillar of culture. Now we can say it's a pillar of religion. Because psychology of religion will decrease our risk of depression, substance substance abuse, suicide, risky behaviors, all those things. The other one is belief can bring together people who share the same values, giving them a sense of belonging and a greater social support. Second, another importance of psychology of religion is to do with psychologists consider that religion may benefit both physical and mental health in various ways, including encouraging healthy lifestyles, providing social support networks, and encouraging an optimistic outlook on life. Prayer and meditation may also benefit physiological functioning. So those are some of the things. The third importance of psychology of religion is that researches conducted by psychologists have largely come to the conclusion that religion builds personalities and or people of character. Now, we keep talking about character. You know character, not fellows who go to a place, they say, these are very beautiful women. You know, if you have a character, you not say beautiful women, you even harassing them, and you have your wife. You see, that's character. That's a matter of character now. Or you start saying, there's a lot of money. This company, this school, now I'm the headmaster, I'm the head teacher, I'm the principal. Oh, no, here I'll be rich. That's the issue of character now. A character will know this is not mine, this is for public. Or I've been elected MP, let me get a CDF. It has been increased, good. Constitutional Development Fund, I'll feast on it. I'll get, the elders who take care of it, who are manipulatable and will know what to do with it. That is all about character. Now, if you are a teacher, I started teaching in 1989 and I was teaching history and English 1989 onwards in high school. But I remember one thing is that those characters who, I call them characters, even if they are not character, they don't have character itself. Those who didn't do it in life, those who went to liquor, because where I come from, liquor is destroying people. Young men, not women, only men are destroyed, such that there's even a shortage of husbands to marry daughters, or that kind of thing. There's imbalance because of the drunkardness, the liquor, the traditional, not even traditional, another destructive one. Now, when you meet those guys, even if you go to a certain city, some are police officers, some are very senior, bigger than you in size, taller than you in height. They some look older than me, because of genetic reasons. And those who did very well, they have character. They will greet you, not even screaming at you. They will not even ask you, you mean you don't know me? Unajifanya unijui, you are pretending you don't know me, mwalimu. Teacher, you are pretending. That is lack of character. But those who have character, they will be polite enough and tell you, I know I was a bit younger, slightly younger than you. You are teaching as a young teacher, an elder brother of ours by 2 years or something. But I used to be called George, not Wanjakoya, George Waruke or something. They'll tell you because they have character in a polite way. But those who have no character, who have not gone through the psychology of religion or general psychology of survival, they will even scream at you and tell you, what did you teach me, or even insult you. Yes, because they are drunken, they have been to drugs and all that. So there's a question of character. Character helps us make a better life. In fact, many people who don't have character don't live long. They live a very short time. And we have examples to give. Character is everything. So research is conducted by psychologists is saying what I'm saying, that religion builds characters and personalities. And character, we say they live longer. Okay, they may get a chronic disease and die. Yeah, anything can happen in life. But generally, in general circumstances, people who have character live longer. People are not quick to fight you, to insult you. People who take time to listen, they live longer. not imposing themselves on others or assuming suffering from what we call self-importance. I'm too important, nobody is more important than me. Now that is a danger zone. When you get that sickness of thinking you are the only one, you can't even listen to others. You become a dictator among your peers. That is a sign of lacking character. And when they are characters, they will be there even after 50 years. You met in school 40 years ago. You feel happy when you meet them because they have character. And they also feel happy because they have character. Certainly, it is disastrous to be educated but lack character. You are educated but you don't have character. That is the worst thing for any human being. You look funny, or to have a lot of money without education. You even think people are foolish because they don't have money like you. You behave in a very embarrassing way and you don't know. People are viewing your idiosyncratic behavior and they feel very sad about you or about us. Hence, people who identify as religious are more likely to display agreeableness and carefulness as a character trait. Correspondingly, people who identify as spiritual are more likely to be high on extroversion. Not introversion, but extroversion, being open-minded, being overt, not covert. And fundamentalist religious beliefs are more likely to be low on openness. When they also now, the other area is when they become too fundamentalistic. Mambo ya kidini, dini yetu ni njia yetu ni moja, our way is only one. Those ones can be many things, they may even lack character. So if you push religion fundamentalistically, you lose now character. Nothing to be taken like it has to be this or I die. Why are you? That's danger zone again. However, people endorsing fundamentalist religious beliefs are more likely to be low in openness. Hence, a study of psychology of religion will help us to deal with diverse characters in religious domain. Yes, those are very good observations. And if we take it seriously, not as academic work for our own survival, we shall help more people. Fourth, a study of psychology of religion helps us to distinguish between mature religion and immature religious activities that are prevalent in our times. Of course, I don't want to talk about Joseph Kibwetere of Uganda, who told people about rapture. He was what we call millennialist. Those fellows who say after every 1,000 years there will be rapture. A rapture means end of the world. It will be over. Christ will come to take his own people. If they are Christians, if they are Muslims, they will talk of something else. If they are in other religions, they will talk of something close to that. But the emphasis here is millennium. After 1,000 years, there will be something. And now Joseph Kibwetere in Uganda told them, it is time, sell everything, all your properties, and come to the church compound. We received Christ on 31st December 1999. And people came. You know how when you are dealing with vulnerable people who do not distinguish the sickness in your religious outfit, and your outfit has become what we call an institution under the big man syndrome. It's another sickness where some people become too big and godlike. So even if they lie to you, you can't tell the difference between truth and lie because you are indoctrinated, you are radicalized, you are damaged, you are trapped. The song we used to hear since 1985 by this Colonel Abraham when he sang, "You see, I'm so trapped and I don't know what to do." They are so trapped, they don't know what to do. Even Colonel Abraham, that black American who released that song, died a trapped man in the streets of America. Homeless, no wife, no child, no house. He died with being a star. He remained trapped like a song. And he trapped young men during my time in 1985. When we were in Form 3, I remember. That's when he released it. And he really trapped young men, and some are already dead. Because they got trapped with life and anything you talk about. Now, in his book, let me just expound on this because it's too much work and I feel like talking. In his book, The Individual and His Religion, Gordon Allport, a very famous and great American psychologist of religion, one of the founders of psychology of religion as a subject on its own, not a psychology, but psychology of religion. Gordon Allport, in his Individual and His Religion, he illustrates how people may use religion in different ways. And he makes a distinction between mature religion and immature religion. Mature religious sentiment is how Allport characterized the person whose approach to religion is dynamic, open-minded, and able to maintain links between inconsistencies. In contrast, immature religion is self-serving and generally represents the negative stereotypes that people have about religion. So the point number 4 was, a study of religion helps us to distinguish between mature religion and immature religion. And we have supported it by using Gordon Allport, who died in 1967, being born 1897. Now, the fifth point to show the importance of psychology of religion, the study we are doing in this class is a study of psychology of religion aims in building successful personality development. That is, the personality development that encompasses the dynamic construction and deconstruction of integrative characteristics that distinguish an individual in terms of interpersonal behavioral traits. That is, to this end, Erik H. Erikson, who died in 1994, lived between 1902 to 1994, for 92 years. In his biographical studies of Mahatma Gandhi, this man, Erik Erikson, and his 8 stages, generally he liked to write about case studies of people. And he used Mahatma Gandhi, a Hindu, the Indian nationalist of 1930s and 1940s. And Martin Luther King, the American leader of civil rights movement of late 1950s and 60s, where he says they discovered a positive view of religion in successful personality development. Now, you note a very frank point here. I like him, Allport. No, I'm not Allport, Erik Erikson. He says, Martin Luther King tells us that he ran from Mahatma Gandhi, who fought for Indian independence without shedding bloodshed, the way Mau Mau did. The way people in Zimbabwe did, they shed blood. They all ran from Kimathi, the people of Zimbabwe and South Africa. And they went to the forest. And they fought Ian Smith. Yes. And Mahatma Gandhi in 1940s did not go to the forest. He told people, let's practice the philosophy of Jesus Christ. Give the other cheek. Love they who hate you. Using religion of Christ, yet he was not a Christian. He just loved Jesus, but he did not convert from Hinduism to Christianity. And Gandhi would say, you Christians, I like you Jesus, but I hate you Christians because you don't do what you say. You don't do what Jesus did or told you to do. And so Mahatma Gandhi moved around the cities of India and even started in South Africa as a practicing lawyer. I was there in Parliament of Pietermaritzburg in 2018 and many times. And there's a statue of him where he began the so-called Satyagraha. It's a philosophy which says if one preaches wine, take water, not wine or something. If you want, or if you preach change, be changed yourself. And so he said, no, do what you say. And he told the Indians, don't stone British. Tell them, we love you because you hate us. We bless you because you keep cursing us. Turn it upside down, and that one will humiliate the person. Psychologically, when you love a fellow who wants to humiliate you, he wants you to reduce you to nothing, and he thinks he's something. As if you live the next 300 years. Now, that is a fellow you need to be very sympathetic, because that's psychology now, because this is a fellow who has a little understanding of the complexities and trends in life. Yeah, he should be more humble. So Mahatma Gandhi came and Martin Luther King followed Mahatma Gandhi and started civil rights movement to free black Americans like him. And that's how the rights of Obama came. You remember Martin Luther King And the Southern Baptist, he was a Baptist himself, raised a lot of money to help Tom Mboya. Yes, since 1959, when Tom Mboya was addressing their rallies. And the Kenyan Tom Mboya was there raising money to educate people like Wangari Maathai, Barack Obama Sr. 81 Kenyans were taken. They were taken there. They were taken there. And you can see, it is Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King raised a lot of money, so that some people who rule Kenya, who have made an impact in Kenya, were trained by him. So you can see this gentleman, Eric Erickson, talks about how religion has a very huge contribution in personality development. And you see the personality in Mahatma Gandhi was built by the religious teachings of Jesus Christ. Well, that of Martin Luther came from this other, the Mahatma Gandhi and Christ, but it was actually following who? He was following directly Mahatma Gandhi, but in reality, they were all following Jesus' religious teachings. So you can see there's something personality. You agree with Eric Erickson that when you have religion and now psychology of religion, there will be no problem. There will be no worry. There's no cause for harm, or we'll be fine. Okay, let me move on to the last one. Okay, not the last, the second one, the sixth one now. A study of psychology of religion makes us leaders who leads the society in appreciating the role of religion as a source of knowledge to questions that have no direct answers. As Eric Fromm, who lived between 1900 and 1980, the American scholar has noted, religion answers questions that no other source of knowledge has an answer to, and only religion is in a position to provide answers. Yes, there are things that only religion can answer. If you try to answer it and in other forms, mathematically, you don't get it. Chemistry-wise, you don't get it. So there are things that, even going to research, tell me about some mythological issues about creation, about the first parents. That remains a myth that comes with the religion, goes with the religion. So a study of religion makes us, psychology of religion makes us leaders who lead society in appreciating the role of religion as a source of knowledge. This is very important. Don't think that religion has no source of knowledge. Even when you are counseling, there are things you tell them, nendeni mukaombe. Yes. Yeah, there are things you tell them that way. And when they wake up in the morning, they realize they even did not have an issue. They were only emotional. Yes, there are times you cool them through prayer or a religious saying. All that. So there's psychology in all those things we are talking about. Number 7, 70 points. I can see there are 9. Let me see whether you can move faster than this. Religion nurtures individual potentialities and talents. That is the issue of nurturing and what? Nurturing individual potentialities and talents. Going back to Fromm's estimation, conventional religion tends to nurture an individual's highest potentialities, though he also admits that extremist religious consciousness tends to relapse into being neurotic. In turn, it is Sigmund Freud who portrayed religion as a collective neurosis of humanity and went on to argue that religious beliefs give expression to wishful fulfilling illusions, serving the immature emotional needs of the child living on within the adult. The many cultic practices in our religiosity demonstrates this neurotic religious trajectory, as in the case of Shakahola and Joseph Kiwatere in Uganda. Yes, Shakahola massacre. when people are told fast till you die. Yes, you want to meet Jesus first, and they themselves are eating when they are joining you there. Anyway, in such cases, religion hurts the very society it is ironically meant to build. Okay, so that is it. The cultism. When we bring cultism, that's when we talk of death of religion. Cultism are deadly things. We fear them. Number 8, a study of psychology of religion will help in undoing Sigmund Freud's understanding of Oedipus complex theory, which has remained one of the most controversial areas of his psychology studies. Controversial, where a boy competes with his father over his mother. That is, to me, is nothing but shenanigan, a monkey shine or something. It is not holding water. A boy, what does the boy understand? I can't understand. A child. In his book, Psychoanalysis and Religion, Erich Fromm responded to Freud's theories by explaining that part of the modification is viewing the Oedipus complex as based not so much on sexuality as on a much more profound desire, namely the childish desire to remain attached to protecting figures and caregivers, which you will consider when you look at the other gentleman you call Bowlby's attachment theory in psychology. We'll look at Bowlby's. I even sent a video on that. So you see now, Fromm becomes more realistic when he sees the boy child is competing for the attention of the mother, and the father is also competing for the attention of the mother. The actual competition is different. Each has his own interest. The child is normal. A child has to have interest with any child, irrespective of gender. And the father is another story altogether. So that is it. Fromm makes it very clear to us in the psychology of religion. He's a psychologist of religion we like much. The 9th point, a study of psychology of religion helps us to understand the numinous character of religion. That is, it is a unique social institution. Unlike other social institutions such as education, family, government, and media, are characteristically arouses spiritual or religious emotion that is mysterious or awe-inspiring. So we are saying it helps us to understand the numinous character of religion. Maybe we may need to understand what we mean by numinous. Numinous is all about mystical, spiritual, magical, supernatural, magical, all that. So it's a numinous character. Now, how else can we understand some of these things? Even if they set a commission to investigate Shakahola massacre, without employing psychology of religion or having at least one psychologist of religion, there are things they will not understand. Because there are things only psychology of religion can help us to unveil. Yes, indeed, it is a German Protestant theologian and scholar of comparative religion, Rudolf Otto, who explained the numinous as a non-rational, non-sensory experience or feeling, whose primary and immediate object is outside the self. In Rudolf Otto's possession, particularly his most famous publication, entitled The Idea of the Holy, published in 1917, Rudolf Otto defines the concept of the holy, takatifu, holy, as that which is numinous or mysterious or mystical, and that which arouses emotion. Yeah. His book also set out a paradigm for the study of religion that focuses on the need to realize the religious as a non-reducible, though this view of religion as the ultimate has also had a share of criticism. This Portiric's possession of religion as the ultimate, which I also share, has had people criticizing it, that we are taking it too far now. It will be becoming a god also, like a god, a deity or something. But I think our understanding is different, not in the level of God. There is ultimate in God and in understanding God, and there is ultimate in understanding even human beings. So even when we say, he's fine, this man is fine, fine doesn't necessarily mean that the person is 100% is ultimate in the way of God. It can be another way out. Okay, the 10th point, and which looks like it should help us pause. No, before we go to all of them, 11 of them, we can't pause. It will be very unfair. A study of psychology of religion exposes the leader and the practitioner to the faith development stages by James Fowler. And these stages include, you can see stage 1, which is a primary or undifferentiated faith, birth to 2 years, is characterized by an early learning of the safety of the environment. For example, warm, safe, secure versus hurt, neglect, abuse. So that is the stage of faith development according to James Fowler. And you shall find where you are, because some people are in stage 2. Even when they are 70, they are stage 2 in faith. Others, like Mother Teresa, are in the last stage 6. Okay, stage 1, it's called intuitive projective faith stage. Intuitive projective faith stage. Ordinarily, it is the ages of 3 to 7, but it doesn't follow that way. It is ideally so, but not practically so. That early stage in faith in people is characterized by the psyche's unprotected exposure to the unconscious and marked by a relative fluidity of thought patterns. Here, a person learns religion via experiences, via images, via stories, via caregivers around you. You see, when you go to Sunday school, for example, a good teacher who knows you are in stage 1, he will give you stories captivating and shorter ones, images, come with diagrams. If you don't have pictorial messages, you may not capture these things because you are in a very intuitive projective stage. You project. You are initiated to it. You are in intuitive projective stage of faith. It's still young. But there are still people who remain there. Yeah, where they look at the caregivers, how they are behaving, how they say it. You can't reason because you are looking at those who have reasoned for you. Stage 3 now. There are 6. It is called stage 2, not 3. Stage 2, mythical literal faith. Yeah, again within school children. But you can detain it even when you are an adult, depending on many reasons. Mythical literal faith is characterized by persons who have a strong belief in the justice and reciprocity of the universe, and their deities are almost always anthropomorphic. During this time, metaphors and symbolic language are often misunderstood and are taken literally. There are times when Africans were accused of being in this stage by some sick white brothers out there, because this is not necessarily the case. Because then they say that we are in a mythical literal stage, like children, where we only believe using anthropomorphic language, that God has to be a father, God has to be seen as a mother, as a brother, elder brother. Unless you bring those mythological and mythical symbolisms and languages, people can't understand God. That is the way they put it. But the danger is when you are not reasoning. For us in scholarship, we use anthropomorphic, particularly in African Christology, where Jesus is seen as a father, a medicine man, an ancestor. Okay, that doesn't make us mythical because we are reasoning. If you can't reason, that when we are like school children, but we do reasoning, a good philosophical treatise. Okay, stage 3, taking longer. Synthetic conventional faith. Arising in adolescence, aged 12 to adulthood, is characterized by conformity to authority and the religious development of a personal identity. Any conflicts with one's beliefs are ignored at this stage due to the fear of threat from inconsistency. So this is another advanced one. Although they are saying it is for 12 to adulthood or arising in adolescence, synthetic is a very strong vocabulary because it's a question of You are able to synthesize, to compare. You are thinking. You are synthesizing from thesis to antithesis. Hapo katikati ndio inaitwa synthesis. Between antithesis or opposition to the thesis or the idea. And then you argue it out. It becomes synthetical, or you synthesize, or you get the answer. So synthetic conventional faith is mature person. It's characterized by conformity to authority, yes, and the religious development of personality identity. Any conflict with one's beliefs are ignored at this stage due to the fear of threat from inconsistencies. So the synthesizing, we could have looked at it in deeper materials, but summaries can make it look vague. There's a lot of material on it, even in previous studies. Stage 4. But mark synthetic, you synthesize, you weigh, you start weighing. You see, if you're an adult, you can't be an adult if you don't know how to synthesize. To weigh two things. Yes, you don't listen to one line and say, I've concluded. Even a judge synthesizes information that you get. Stage 4, individuative, reflective faith. Individuative, reflective faith. That's stage 4. Usually mid-20s to late 30s. It's a stage of angst and struggle. Angst is like what now? It's like anger. It is like frustration. It is like you are struggling. Yeah, the individual takes personal responsibility for his or her beliefs and feelings. As one is able to reflect on one's own beliefs, there is an openness to a new complexity of faith. But this also increases the awareness of conflicts in one's belief. So this is a question of reflective. You are able to reflect individually now. Individually, you can reflect. That's an advanced stage, very advanced stage. As you are now able to reflect on your own beliefs. Okay? Not necessarily the faith you are taken by your parents. You are taken to this church, you want to remain there, you don't want to argue. Yeah, it increases awareness of conflict in your own beliefs, and you are able to actually synthesize it properly now. Stage 5, conjunctive. You know, in English you talk of conjunction. That's a word in grammar, English grammar, that joins a sentence. Conjunctive faith or midlife crisis acknowledges paradox and transcendence relating reality behind the symbols of inherited systems. The individual resolves conflicts from previous stages by complex understanding of a multidimensional interdependent truth that cannot be explained by any particular statement. So conjunctive is you are able in that midlife crisis to acknowledge these paradoxes and ironies and live with it without complaining. Otherwise, if you are at this very stage where not many of us reaches, you not listen to a Muslim because really you are Christian. We even here in this group, when we are having a class, I will not mention, somebody said, no, when you have a Muslim Christian dialogue, you should first testify to the Muslim how Christian you are. I told him, are you conjunctive enough? When you do that to the Muslim and they are trying to solve a conflict, are you not going to scare this man with your fundamentalism? You see, I could see we are not yet stage 5. A good number of us, most of us, including probably me myself, because we are so much moved by what we believe in. If we are Muslim, they always want to convert you, because those fellows you find not getting there, trying to convert you so easily after a short talk, they are not yet there. It should come slowly through education. You are not able to listen to others because you know truth is only in you or in your team. Yeah, it's dangerous. So this one should be the stage where you solve conflict from previous stages by complex understanding of multidimensional interdependent truth that cannot be explained by any particular statement. That is one thing we need to underline. The last stage in James Forrest's faith development stage is universalizing faith, or what some may call enlightenment. So now you look at it like Mother Teresa now, or Nelson Mandela. You can even die for a cause of the world, the universal society, the Catholic society, the global society. An idea like Wangari Maathai, you can die for environment. You can be clobbered by the government of the day when trying to save the environment. But you feel spiritually attached to that idea. And you are not necessarily fundamental, not fundamentalistic as one may think. You are reasoning, you are an intellectual, but you are seeing where it is taking people. So you can die for it. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, a Catholic, a Roman Catholic, went beyond Catholicism. She was useful to everyone. There are such people in the world who can go beyond the call of duty. Mandela used to call it higher calling, to reach this universalizing faith, to die for the people, to be prepared to die for an ideal that will not help your family or yourself, but the people. Kimathi the same. It can also be said, if you look at him as an amateur from African religious, as a religious practitioner, all those people, they could reach a level where we may not be able to. So this is for privileged few who will reach there. So you may find most of the time we reach stage 2 or we just stagnate there. Stage 3, you reach there. Ngumu sana. Conjunctive, ngumu sana. Very hard. Or individuative, reflective, stage 4. It is very hard. But God is there. We can make it. So the last point, 11th point, before we pause a break and we entertain some questions and comments, is a study of psychology of religion helps learners to enact religious instructions more soberly and maturely. For Christians, as well as other religions, the study aims in day-to-day life. For whereas the Bible, for example, gives some very specific instructions on how one might become more emotionally and spiritually healthy, psychology gives us insight into the emotional and mental dynamic of our experience and provides us with tools to enact the Bible's instructions. So you can see how psychology of religion helps learners to enact religious instructions more soberly. Yes, psychology of religion will tell you dini ni ya Kristo, wacha kupiga watu, kutukana watu. Religion has God. If God is there, why are you doing beyond? Why are you pushing it beyond the way it should be? Yes. So maybe we stop there. Lastly, the nature of human psyche is complex. Hence, spiritual psychology provides a unique perspective on the mind and how it affects our lives. This approach to psychology is holistic in nature, meaning that it integrates body, mind, and spirit into a cohesive whole. Thank you very much. Question now, please comment now.